What's up, folks? Today we have one question. Should I arrow by directional arrows or just with regular arrow button? When I search for anything related to arrows, I always hear this question. Why, you may ask? Because of this, and probably this too. Yes, everybody goes for arrows like this now. That's why this question burns in people's head. And here we come to another question. Is it really worth training? Changing your bindings, training your muscle memory again from the beginning to learn one thing? It depends. Yes, of course, everything depends. Like it couldn't be a simple answer, no or yes, you're retarded, I don't have much time to listen about some guy's opinion. It depends on your controller, like 60%, and on your priorities. But today, I will help you to understand what are advantages and disadvantages of those two settings and what should you do in your case. If you liked this video so far, consider subscribing and joining my Discord server. Guess I'm in some kind of road to 10k right now. Link of course in the description. First of all, we have to understand if it's really worth changing if you want to change to directional arrows. Let's begin with saying why controller really matters. On keyboard, yes, it exists as a controller. You can very easily bound arrow left and right to very intuitive buttons like Q and E. So it's just easier when you just have to leave your controller button and click a button next to it. Then there's a thing about controller where you probably won't have enough space to bound those two keys. There are some like crazy, I call them crazy because I genuinely can't imagine using them, bindings like this one, but it's really hard to change after all of this time playing normally. So for a controller it's kinda harder to get used to directional arrows, but it's of course possible. It will be just harder, but it's definitely doable. But is it really worth it, even on keyboard? We have to say something about cons and pros of both techniques and see if it really makes sense. And now, what are pros and cons of directional arrows? Disclaimer, every of those tips and tricks is my experience with both arrow strats. I have almost mastered both ways, so I wanted to share my experience with you. Thanks. Directional arrow lets you go for the ball in more straight and more controlled way. By freestyling, of course. It's nothing more than just spinning during aerial. It's because when you roll, your car goes in overall straight path. And when you go for straight aerial, you have to make some corrections which can lead to losing control of your car and just whiffing missing. Second thing is that your shots can be shot faster. When you jump, you can immediately make arrow to have perfect angle on the ball. And with regular arrow, you waste this part of a second that would lead to this perfect shot. It's very beneficial, if you master it of course, and you'll be able to be overall faster with your shots. This is probably the biggest advantage of directional arrows because shots are basically, well, you shoot to score a goal to win a match. Should I add something? Next thing is that you will be faster and more precise with your recoveries. With standard arrow, it's impossible to turn your car in some specific angles. And it's just the most important thing about recoveries, to be able to turn your car in specific angle as fast as it's possible. With directional arrow, you will be able to not only turn your car on horizontal axis, but on its own axis too. And if you combine both axes together, you are able to turn your car immediately into the most beneficial way to land safely on the ground. And that's basically how good recovery should look like. Fourth thing is of course ability to perform flashy abilities such as breezy flicks, stalls, useful for freestyle mainly, tornado flicks, and spinning in the air, freestylish thing of course. Those are exceptional of course and not very useful on daily basis, but it's really rewarding and you will still learn a lot of your car control. For example, during process of learning breezy flicks. It's very good for your muscle memory and you'll be overall faster because your muscles will learn new movements and will help you to use some of your car angles that your muscles didn't know yet. Okay. Those are only advantages of directional arrow, so if those are so great and everything, you should go grind it now because it's game changing and you'll rank up with it. No, wait a minute. Actually wait till this video ends. Because we have to go through all advantages of normal arrow too, because both abilities have their best sides and it's not like directional arrow is better. Yes, I've said that, it's not better. So let's hop into regular arrow pros to see why. First, most important, normal arrow on stick is way, like a lot more precise and delicate than directional arrow. This allows you to make more precise movement in the air during some challenges when performing abilities. This is very important because sometimes to achieve some angles, you have to aim perfectly and it will be very hard with directional arrows. With the stick you are able to make such subtle corrections that wouldn't matter, but here they are crucial. Second is the need of having power slide binded to your arrow button. It's hella effective when recovering, and without it, you won't be able to maintain good amount of momentum during slide, landing, or just bump. It basically works like this: when you're recovering from the air, you probably use air roll to position your car on wheels, right? And if you do so, you'll just still hold air roll button to power slide to the ground when you land. It's very important because you can't bind power slide to both arrow left and right. I'm not sure, but you probably can't do it. So when using directional arrows, you will still have to hold additional button to slide, which will require bigger effort from you, and it's just not that intuitive. Next things are flicks. Yes, arrow precision influence your flicks. When you want to make 45 flick or 90 flick, you have to arrow to get better angle of the car on the ball. And this is done mainly by precise air rolling into a good spot. With direction arrows it will be harder, like a lot harder. It's bad for only those two flicks, but basing on their popularity, I could even say that they are getting even more popular than a simple flick, so it's a thing you should consider. So, now you know the most important advantages of those buff techniques. So, is it worth changing to directional arrows? I would say halfway. Best, the most effective, the most universal thing would be just to use both bindings and grind them simultaneously. What? How is this possible? I don't have 20 fingers. You don't need them, my friend. What I mean is to bind at least one directional arrow button to a free button on your controller. For me, it was a square on PS4 controller, X on Xbox controller, or R1, RB. It's basically the easiest way to boost and spin together, which is crucial in case of using this technique. It's very easy to use more hardcore mechanics like busy flicks or stalls. One only downside of this method is that you won't be able to spin your car in both directions, only one is available in this way. But don't worry, it's still one of the best methods used by now by most of the pro players, so if anything changes, I'll let you know. Training of this ability. It's really easy compared to any other abilities. All you have to do to grind directional arrows is to spin. Yes, spin. Best of best maps to train spinning is of course Letharmer's Rings map, where you have a great variety of angles and difficult situations according to position of those rings related to your car. You just hop into a training map like this, you jump, boost up and start spinning. Now, how to control your car during spinning? When you see your car's roof, you have to turn left, right, up, down to make a correction, and when you see your car chassis, you have to do exactly the same, but you have to get used to opposite movement. After some time, you will be able to move your car exactly the way you want it to go. Overall conclusion, it's not a game changer. Overall, it's not that beneficial as it seems, but it's still some progress. You just have to find your own best style of it to get as much improvement as it's possible. It's just all about you and your priorities. If you want to have a better car control in the air, you want to be faster on rolling to the ground, you want to use every possible way of performing sick mechanics, go for direction arrows. If you want to be as good as possible, go for both arrows. But really, if you feel as staying with normal arrow button, it won't affect you that much. It's still good, it's really not that big difference as people say. For me, I could really easily stick to normal arrow without any problems, and I would be as good as I am right now, but I like to learn new things and give myself some challenges. That's basically why I've learned arrow left on square. That's it for today. I hope you'll find this tutorial about arrows helpful in case of knowing new things in Rocket League. Stay positive and remember, play as you like. Remember, it's only a game. Bye bye.